Do we have anybody online? Sabote, who's online? Who's online? Let me know who's online. I want to greet the people. Who? Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Official Staffy.
Official Staffy. Hello. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Please make sure you share so we can help others tune in today.
It says hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Who else do we have on? I believe we're live on Instagram, on YouTube, and Facebook. Good afternoon. So today we have a special guest that will be joining us from Rehome, right? Rehome,
Lens
yes.
Addict says, hi, good afternoon.
Who's that?
Lens Addict.
Lens Addict. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good to see you on. Good to see you on. Who else do we have on today? We're going to be with Rehome Africa. It's a property tech company. Good afternoon. And today I'm going to be talking about living beyond Accra. Everybody wants to talk about Accra, but Accra is getting saturated. So we're going to highlight some areas that you can consider to live in, right? All right, who else is on?
Londis Ghana.
Hey, Londis. Villeneuve, Etisengo, how are you? How are you? All right. He says, good afternoon, fine afternoon, fine afternoon. Who else do we have on today? All right. Living beyond Accra, meeting the surging demand for properties outside the capital. Woohoo, this is going to be an interesting topic today. Interesting, interesting. All right. Okay, anybody else online?
Nah, go.
Nah, go. That's the same. Good to have you on. You're welcome. You're welcome.
And Rehomes on YouTube is saying hi.
Hello, Rehomes. Rehomes is going to be joining us in a second. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to talk about living beyond Accra. Okay. All right. Let's have Rehome on. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get them on. Let's get them on. Let's get this conversation going. You know, we are excited to have our special guest Rehome on, and I'll let them do a brief introduction before we go ahead and get started. So you're welcome. Are they on yet?
No, please.
No.
Let's give them a moment.
Okay, let's give them a minute. Let's give them a minute. If you have any questions, please make sure you jot it in the comment section. I want to answer all questions today. And a special reminder, we have the first time home buyers in Ghana seminar coming straight to you on December 7th, 9 a.m. prompt. Okay, not Ghana man's time, prompt 9 a.m. We're going to be doing that at the Accra International Conference Center. I want to encourage all of you to go on Eventbrite, go on ticketmiller.com, go to our website, first time home buyers, that's fhtbghana.com. You can register. Ticket prices are 150 Ghana cedis only. And I emphasize only for all the information, the networking opportunities, the vendors you'll be meeting on the premises. It's only 150 Ghana cedis. The prices will be going up closer to the date, so you want to make sure you secure your seat today. If you are a vendor, we already have quite a number of vendors. I think we are going to average close to 30 vendors. So please make sure if you are a vendor, this conference is all things home, from interior, home furnishings to exterior stuff. So anything home related, please make sure you sign up as soon as possible. And those of you who are attending, all potential homeowners, real estate investors, please make sure you get your tickets as well. And the evening from 6 to 9 p.m. we'll be having networking session, networking with refreshments. It's going to be an opportunity for you to network and mingle, because we all know that our network is our net worth, right? So you want to make sure you come out 6 to 9 p.m. It's going to have industry players, key stakeholders, general public, real estate professionals, going to be out there having a great time. And we're going to have a special guest making a special appearance. So make sure you tune in for that. panel discussions for the first-time home buyers. We're going to have some incredible, resourceful people talking about affordable housing in Ghana and its feasibility. And then the other panel discussion, which is my ultimate favorite, is building generational wealth through home ownership. So I want to encourage you to log in, tune in, buy your tickets now before the prices go up, okay? All right, any questions? Any questions before we go ahead and get started? Today I'm going to be talking about living beyond Accra. Living beyond Accra. All right, we're still waiting on Rehome to join us. Rehome, we're waiting on you. All right, any comments? Any?
Yeah, Mr. Quayson said we are coming live.
Oh, Mr. Quayson! Oh, JQ, how are you? How are you? We are looking forward to having you. You know, we are really, really excited that you're going to be a part of this year's First Time Home Buyers in Ghana seminar. So, JQ, I look forward to seeing you. Thanks for all your support. God bless you. All right, Rehome, are we on yet? Is yet to tune in. All right, so let me just start briefly. You know, living beyond Accra is something I want to encourage people to venture into. You know, the key thing is to make sure that you do your research about areas that are on the outskirts of Accra. I like to refer to them as the emerging areas. You know, some people call them the up and coming areas, but these are what we call emerging markets. So they're not in the center of Accra, they're right at the outskirts, but they have a lot of potential. And what we're finding is that as Accra is getting populated and saturated, people then start to move a little bit out towards the outskirts. And you know, you get more room. It's not a lot of high rises, it's still developing. The plot sizes are also different, a little bit bigger. There's more greenery. The air is less polluted and that sort of thing. But you want to do your research and make sure that these areas are areas to be considered, okay? So first of all, what I would say is find out about the infrastructure. What are the plans for the infrastructure? Because road access to these areas is very key, especially if you're still working in Accra. You want to make sure that, you know, the road access is viable. But if you're an entrepreneur or you're somebody who works remotely, you work from home, then it's not really a big deal. You can still work from where you live, so road access may not be a priority for you. If you have a family, you have children, you want to make sure there are good schools in the area as well. So you want to look at that. You want to look at the healthcare system in the area, and then look at the transportation system in the area. There's some areas that we know that they are building they've already laid out the railway. So very soon you'll be able to commute via train. And the commute will cut significantly as opposed to driving to and from the outskirts. So places, for example, like Shy Hills and Dodowa, where we see the railroad carriages being built there, you will be able to cut your transportation in half to maybe about 30 minutes, okay? All right, is Rehome on? Is Rehome on? All right, I think Rehome is joining us. Are they on now? Not yet, not yet, okay. We're still trying to get Rehome to join us. So let's give it a second, and then we'll continue from there. All right, Rehome, is Rehome on? Who do we have on? Is it Danny?
Yes,
Danny, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so Danny, we're getting a little feedback, a little echo. So if you can probably lower the volume there, that would be great.
Is that better?
We can still hear some feedback. Is it still another phone there?
Yes, there's another device here.
Okay.
Okay, let me just.
I think
Is that
that's,
okay?
yes, that's better, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's better. We don't hear the feedback. Okay, great. Great. So, Danny, you're welcome. If you can please give the viewers a brief introduction of who you are and talk about your company before we go ahead and get started with our topic, which is living beyond Accra. So, go ahead, Mr. Danny.
Yes, good afternoon, viewers. My name is Danny Nantini, and I'm overseeing marketing at Rehome Africa. Rehome is actually a prop tech company in the real estate industry. We are a new company, actually. But then our focus is on providing the right services, as in providing services which would ensure that those in the diaspora who are target audience would get the right service, as in getting the houses they need to get without any issues related to document verification. So we have we're a multi-listing platform. We have a website which is rehomeafrica.com, and on our site we have listed properties that anyone who is looking to buy a home or to rent a home in Ghana for start, the person could just go and search, and the person would find the right home and get in touch with the agents who has listed the property on our platform. So we ensure that those on the platform are only providing properties that they either own or they manage, and they have the necessary documentation to prove that they are in charge of those properties. So our target audience, as I mentioned, are the Africans in the diaspora. So it could be Ghanaians, it could be Nigerians. As long as you're looking for a home in Ghana to either buy or to rent, then you could just check Rehome, and we will be able to serve you with the right property that you look for without any hassle. You don't need to deal with too many agents. You just need to come, and we will provide you with all the necessary things that you need. So that is the Rehome Africa for you.
Awesome. Rehome Africa. You heard it live right here from Danny. Thank you so much for that brief introduction. Those of you who are tuned in, I want to encourage you to visit their social media handles. I believe it's at Rehome Africa. So make sure you follow, visit their website as well. And any real estate professional that's tuned in, make sure you join Rehome Africa. So Danny, once again, you're welcome to our edition of Living Beyond Accra. And so tell us, Danny, what are your thoughts about living beyond Accra? You know, everybody wants to be in Accra. Everybody wants the prime areas. But based on your research, what would you say are probably some of the reasons why people should consider moving to the outskirts?
Okay, living beyond Accra, you know, we've been getting feedback from many people who want to own property in Ghana, but then most of them want to have a property that is outside Accra. The reason, or the primary reason, most times we hear is that when there's too much traffic in Accra, the places, the environment is not as nice as we expected. You know, there's not much greenery in the environment. You are not in touch with nature. You know, so these things come up regularly. You know, when we're dealing with people. You know, so we've seen the desire of most people who want to buy homes. You know, they would prefer to be outside Accra and then access Accra whenever they could. You know, so that they have to do maybe their business, or maybe they have to have some form of meeting or something, they could just come in and then move out again and go to an environment that is more tranquil, an environment that is more in touch with nature, you know. I think that's the primary reason why they want to move out, yeah.
Awesome. I mean, those are great reasons. You know, and I mentioned earlier that you know, Accra is getting very populated, very saturated. And you know, one of the things, even in terms of the environment, in terms of greenery, is the air is cleaner. You know, it's not as polluted, and people really love that aspect of it as well. And definitely, as you mentioned, the traffic, it's you know, less traffic in those areas. And also, you know, as long as they have the access roads leading to Accra, you know, you can be able to commute back and forth smoothly. So absolutely, those are some of the reasons. And then also, I believe it's also because the homes are less expensive. You know, you can buy plots of land less expensive than here in Accra. And also, we know the standard plot sizes a lot of times in Accra 100 by 70. But the further out you go, sometimes you can even get plot sizes 100 by 80, 100 by 100. So you may even get larger plot sizes as well. So what are some of the areas, Danny, you find, if you could just list the top 3 most sought after areas outside of Accra, what would be on your top 3 list?
Okay, outside Accra, we'll be looking at places like OUB, you know, we're looking at places in Abri and beyond, Mampong area. You know, that's you know, there are lots of people moving into, especially diasporans, they're moving into this Abri in the mountains.
Yeah.
You know, they want to have a poverty that is on the hill, you know, the places, the environment is much cooler, you know, so I'll say Abri and beyond, and then I would say the Volta region, some parts of, no, I'll say the eastern region, not moving towards the Volta, you know, like after Kusumbo area, you know, you have people wanting to move into those end also. You know, and I think those are I could identify 2 for now, you know, because those 2 I could identify for now,
Yeah, awesome. I do agree. Yeah, definitely Abri. I think, as you mentioned, beautiful mountain views, lots of hiking in that area. And one of the things I hear is that people say no mosquitoes. You rarely get mosquitoes in Abri. I mean, that's a plus right there. And that's because of the cool weather there as well. And some of the other places, Oyarifa, you know, we're seeing quite a lot of movement in the Oyarifa area, a lot of development coming to that area. There's also Oyarifa Mall in that area, which amenities are so important for people who are moving to the outskirts. They don't want to have to drive back to Accra to you know, be able to access some of these amenities. So Oyarifa is another area, as you mentioned, Abri, and also we find a lot of people like Ada. Big Ada is an area, and that's really because of the Volta River. There's a lot of water activities, a lot of amenities coming to that area, and it's also a high tourist area. So particularly for investors, you know, they are keen on purchasing in those areas because they can get great returns for their money. So it's not just first-time home buyers that are purchasing in these areas, but also real estate investors who are looking to make great returns. You know, you're buying low and you're able to sell high in the long run. So those are some key things for living beyond Accra as well. Now, in terms of these areas that we've mentioned, as a real estate investor, what would you say are some of the key things to look out for when you're trying to purchase properties beyond Accra?
Okay, that when you say what you should be looking out for, are you talking about with the process or as in the environment as a whole? What exactly?
Yes, the environment, the returns, that sort of thing.
Okay, so although this may differ from one person to another,
Sure.
but I think if you are looking beyond Accra, then you have to look first of all at the environment, the potential of that the environment will provide. You know, because if you rightly said, you mentioned about Adam, you know, in those areas, Pram, you know, and beyond. Those areas are more or less like close to the river, and which is more or less attracts tourism, you know, increased tourism, you know. So you will want to look at the potential of the environment as in bringing in returns based on the investments that you are making. You know, so that's the first thing. As an investor, I think you have to consider. You know, so when you consider that, I think then you see the potential, and then you could now justify your reason for investment. Then the next thing would be to ensure that all your necessary documentation that you have to acquire from whoever is currently owning the land are authentic. You know, you have to make sure that you verify them, and before because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you've made the necessary investments, and then you realize that there are issues related to the land that you want to acquire. You see, so it's always best to land or property, like but most times in those areas is land properties that people are going for, not the house properties. Or if you get something like a house property in those areas, like I think I noticed something that Ewells is doing in those areas. Yeah, so I think if you have something like that, you need to make sure that the developer you are dealing with is a trusted developer, you know, and they will deliver. And with that, the rest will be history. You know that, well, yes, the first thing that you have to do, make sure that the environment has good returns or provide good returns for the investment, and then you are dealing with the right developer for those properties, house properties that you want to acquire. I think you would be good to go, and you would very well achieve your objective or realize your returns in the long run.
Awesome. I mean, those of you who are tuned in, Danny has just hit some very, very key points. You know, one of the things he mentioned was due diligence. You know, do your due diligence on that developer so that you don't have your capital locked up. And then also if it's a seller, make sure you ensure the validity of the owner, do your due diligence there. And then, you know, when you're approaching these properties or the land, you want to make sure you approach it from a financial lens. Does this have a potential for a return on my investment? So you're not approaching it with an emotional eye, but you're looking at the finances, you're looking at the capital gains, you're looking at the appreciation values, you're looking at the equity, if any, currently, and then of course you're looking at the resaleable value as well, and cash flow. You know, all these things are key to making a decision as to whether this would be a good return on your investment. So Danny's hit some great points there. So if you're taking notes, you know, take those notes. Those are great points. Danny, anything else you want to highlight or point out to our viewers before we wrap up for today?
Well, what I would just say is, you know, I know there are so many challenges with regards to acquiring various forms of properties in Ghana, especially in Accra.
Yeah.
I would encourage everybody who wants to do that, whether you want to acquire a house property or a land property. So first of all, do due diligence on whoever you see is having what you desire. Okay, what you call your dream home or your dreamland property. Do due diligence on that developer or that individual, and make sure that your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, so that you don't get any issue down the line. So I know that there are trusted developers around, so I don't want to just want to mention names, but then there are trusted developers around and there are trusted brokers. You could also deal with brokerage firms, that are trusted. There are lots of them. If you come to Rehome, you would also see some of them listed. I would mention those that on Rehome. You have Ewells on Rehome. You have Indigo Homes. You have also you have JL Properties. All of them have been we've done background checks on them, and we know that they are trusted. So I would encourage you all to do the checks, the necessary checks, and you will definitely have less risk to deal with when you are acquiring a property, whether for investment purpose or just you want to just use it for something else. Yeah, so that's the only thing I think I have to encourage everybody about.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a very, very valid point. And I think a lot of times the reasons why people fall into becoming victims of fraud is because they don't do the necessary due diligence. You want to minimize risk at all costs, because this is one of the highest investments you'll ever make in a lifetime is purchasing a property. So you want to make sure that, as Danny mentioned, that you do your due diligence thoroughly. Hire a lawyer. Use a legal entity. Everywhere in the world, every real estate transaction, is done through a legal entity. But for some reason, we want to avoid that in Ghana, and I don't think it's a good idea. I don't put a stamp of approval on that. In fact, we've started the escrow services just to protect both the buyer and the seller. So we want to encourage you to patronize our escrow services to be able to do that. And then Danny mentioned that, at Rehome Africa, they have real estate developers and brokers that they have vetted and done their due diligence on. And, as you mentioned, Ewell. So we're here. We've received several awards as the most trusted real estate brokers out here. So, you want to make sure you do your due diligence. All right. Do we have any comments, any suggestions, any questions? We do have some questions from the viewers. Let's hear some of those questions.
Okay, so this is a comment on first-time home buyers. I think Mr. Quayson, he says we're coming live at Swavo.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing Swavo Securities. They provide home security services. Great.
And official staffy is asking, how can you help?
Okay. If you can give us a little bit more detail, how can we help in what aspect?
Okay. And official staffy added, Pram is another area people are moving to. Yes,
absolutely. Pram is definitely another area. People love beachfront. As Danny mentioned earlier, people are attracted to certain things about the environment, Abri, the mountains. You have Ada, which is riverfront. And yes, Pram beachfront, absolutely. And it's not too far from Tema as well. I think it's about a 30-minute drive from Tema, where Tema you have a lot of the amenities. So yes, it is. Thank you so much for that comment.
Okay, so on YouTube, Henry Graham says great discussion.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Graham.
And James says great info.
All right, thank you, James. Thank you for tuning in. Do we have any other questions, any comments, suggestions for myself or Mr. Danny? Okay, we have another question, I believe. All right, let's just go through. Once again, make sure you visit Rehome Africa's website. Danny, if you can give us your website address again, please.
Yes, it's
1 second.
www.rehomeafrica.com.
Okay, www.rehomeafrica.com.
Okay.
All right, another question. Another question.
From Kalenyani. How do you emerge properties and employment?
How do we emerge properties and employment? Okay, so I want to say that maybe you're asking that if you have a job, how can you get a property perhaps if you're merging employment with that, or are you referring to how do we get employment in the real estate? I'm not sure which one, but I'll answer both, okay? So if you are trying to get a property through your employer, you can look at mortgage products for that. So there are some banks out there that have employee mortgage products, so you can look into that. And then in terms of if you want to have a job in a real estate company, the best thing to do is, first of all, invest in yourself. I would encourage you to take training, workshops, that sort of thing, to just prepare yourself, get your certifications. You know, we offer training classes, join an association. Ghana Association of Real Estate Brokers, GAREB, is also one that provides a lot of training for real estate brokers, just to make sure that you're professional and following code of ethics as well. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Caleb. All right, any other questions?
Yes, please. So before official staffing sent how can you help, he said, is affordable housing in Ghana really affordable? Most of the prices we see are mostly out of range. The income bracket of most average government workers. So it's out of range of the income brackets of most
Government workers. Okay, Mr. Danny, do you want to take this one, or would you? And then I can add to it.
Okay, it's quite interesting. I know such things normally come up. You know, I always say that you cut your coat according to your size. Okay. Relatively, there are properties which are priced on the high side. Okay, but then I believe that there are also properties which are priced at the range you would want to acquire it. But the question is, what differentiates one property from another? There are people, or let me say developers, when they develop certain properties, you see the quality, the efforts they put into it in giving you value for what the price is at. You see, so I think that with regards to pricing, it depends on the developer, the investment in developing those specific properties. That's one of the reasons why you would have some properties priced high and some properties priced low. And another reason is also the fact that certain locations are deemed as better than others, you know, well, in a way, you know. So I think with regards to that, you would have to now decide, okay, well, should I go in for this, putting all this money, what returns am I going to get, what fulfillment am I going to get? Because your return on investment is not just only financial, it could mean that you find fulfillment in acquiring a property in a location and environment that is deemed as for certain status, you know. So I believe that all this aspect of pricing depends on the individual, how the individual sees the value that he or she is going to get from getting that particular property. So it's relative, actually.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And you know, what I would say is yes, there are some affordable housing out there as well. I mean, when we talk about affordable, it has to be anything that's pretty much under 150,000 Ghana cedis. There is affordable housing out there. I think one of the issues is, again, it's not in Accra. And a lot of people want to live right in Accra. So that's why we're even having this conversation to inspire you and encourage you to live beyond Accra. You can get affordable housing beyond Accra. For example, Shy Hills, you can get plots of land from 10 to 15,000 Ghana cedis. That is affordable. Areas like Dodowa, is affordable. Amrahia, you have properties that are affordable, and the locals are purchasing those properties. Some are purchasing it with a mortgage, up to 20-year duration and that sort of thing. That makes it affordable is also the access to capital, because a lot of people who own homes, even here and overseas, they get the homes because they have access to capital, which is mortgages. So that's something else to consider. People shy away from mortgages because maybe they don't have enough information and knowledge about that. Okay, so that's another way of being able to purchase as well. So yes, when we talk about affordable housing, there is affordable housing, and Danny mentioned it's relative in terms of whatever your salary is. I don't know what the salary is for government workers, but we know that the average salary in Ghana is anywhere from 1,400 to about 1,800 cedis a month. With that salary, you can afford a 10,000 CD property or a 15,000 CD property. So absolutely. All right, another question?
Yes, please. So Caleb is following. What makes a place livable?
What makes a place livable? There are certain building codes that need to be followed, all right? That will ensure whether the place is livable or not. So as long as that building comes within the right building codes, then it is deemed livable.
Okay. And he added the area becomes livable when there is high employment.
Not necessarily, because you could be in an area where the cost of living may not necessarily be as high, or maybe some areas the cost of living is high, and that is a residential area, right? So there's a difference between a residential, commercial, industrial area. So maybe the residential area where you're living is totally different to a commercial area. So it doesn't necessarily mean because it's not the home is not zoned commercial that there wouldn't be high employment there. So it really depends. It really depends on how the areas are zoned as well.
Okay, another question from you.
Yes, please, Mr. Danny, you want to add to that?
Yes. You see, I want it would be also good for people to look beyond the aspect of employment, and look at the aspect of creating a revenue generating stream for yourself, and with that you could look at the opportunities by looking probably at the population, and maybe the population in that particular environment. Also look at also the demand for certain goods or services, and you can create something for yourself, which I believe you don't need to be employed first of all before you could be able to acquire the financial gains that you are looking at. So I just also want to add that because employment is not just the only thing that people should be considering. They should consider how to be good entrepreneurs. Most times they put it that way. But then, I think that is another thing that people should also consider based on the population and all these things that I've mentioned.
Great, yeah. So Danny is really referring to having multiple streams of income. So that's also a good point. Caleb, thank you for your questions. Do we have other questions?
Yes, please, from YouTube. Joey, the business. If I wanted to buy land for 10K, that is 10,000 cedis, which location will you suggest?
Okay, Danny?
10,000, is it in land or
Land. I mentioned Shy Hills earlier, Dodowa, those areas you can get land for 10 to 15,000 Ghana cedis.
Okay, yes. Those areas around you could get OUD, you could get, yes, you could get land in those areas. OUD, yeah, those are the two I could identify for now.
Okay, thank you.
Or whatever they need, they will reach out to us for more detail if they want to know by getting them in touch to our website or the social media handles, and we could get them the necessary feedback. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Any more questions?
Yes, please. From Avat and Shakes Designs. Great conversation. What is the role of real estate experts, strategies to be employed in encouraging people to live outside Accra?
Yeah, so some of the things we've already mentioned, but some of the strategies is to highlight some of the great reasons for being outside of Accra, which we've highlighted as well, which is the environment, which is the air, which is the depending on whether you're you want to come in as a homeowner or even an investor, the high tourist attraction aspect of it, and also looking at the infrastructure. You know, there are major developments coming to areas, and some of the highlight some of the reasons why those areas may be in high demand as well. We're looking at the railway tracks that have been laid that will bring in the trains that will cut the travel or to commute back and forth from various areas. So we know, for example, Shy Hills, you know, they will be having the railway there. And so your commute time from an hour or a little bit over an hour will just go to 30 minutes, which will save you not just time, but also fuel costs as well. So these are all things, I think the key thing is to highlight some of the advantages of living in the outskirts. It's not too saturated, not a lot of traffic and that sort of thing. So those are some of the strategies you want to highlight, the key advantages. Did you want to add anything, Danny?
No, you just mentioned it because it's primarily raising awareness about the benefits of living outside. You know, I think that is, so it's more or less like educating, that's the primary strategy, educating people about the advantages of living outside Accra, you know, based on what is available. So I think you just summarized, basically by giving out all of this information.
Thank
so
you.
It's just the best for them to follow emails and read them and get more information.
Yes, and I think, you know, let's make living beyond Accra attractive. You know, let's show some of the attractive pieces as well. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, please. The LH way from YouTube. In your previous video, when will the $42,000 homes be ready and where will it be?
All right, it's coming. In fact, you will be hearing more about that. We're just finalizing a few things. But yeah, we're looking at 3 beds in the $42,000 range, and studios all the way down to about $13,000. So yes, somebody asked earlier, is affordable housing really affordable housing? Yes, it is. So you will be hearing more about this exciting affordable housing project this month. So just continue to follow us on your social media handles and you will get the first-hand information right here on our platform. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, please. From James, is it best to build or buy homes in Ghana? Which is best?
You know, I get this question a lot. Danny, would you want to answer this or?
Okay, building or buying. If you are experienced or you have somebody who is experienced who could manage the building projects for you, and you think that it it could be customized to your specifications, why not go ahead and do that? But then if you are not, if you don't have much knowledge about the industry, you don't know people, and you are scared of getting your fingers bent, just go and get a property. Make sure that you have the necessary, or you have the amount of money that you will be able to achieve that objective. So I think it's relative. So based on you yourself, what you know and what you don't know. So that's what I could say about that.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that 100%. You know, it's not a cookie cutter answer for everybody. It depends on you, your lifestyle, your time, your finances. Because if you're going to build, you want to make sure you oversee that project. You know, you want to minimize theft. You want to keep a close eye on your inventory. You want to make sure that they are building to your specifications. So it's going to take a lot of time, energy, effort, and finances on your part. And if you don't have that time, then you might as well have somebody else build for you, and they have their own team, construction team in place. They have the project manager in place that can oversee that for you. So I agree with Danny 100%. It's really up to you, and it's based on your choice, your lifestyle. So it's your decision. So thanks for that question, James. Any other questions?
So this comment from Leo Senzi. He says hello.
Hello, 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 hello. Thank you for tuning in. Any other questions, comments, suggestions, input? All right, all right. I want to take this opportunity to thank my special guest, Danny from Rehome Africa, for joining us today on this incredible discussion of living beyond Accra. And I hope that through this conversation, you've been inspired, motivated to go and look at areas beyond Accra as well. So, Mr. Danny, any final words before we wrap up?
Yes, as I said earlier on, it's always best to make sure that you do your due diligence and always make sure you deal with the right people. I reiterate that because so many people have challenges when they are acquiring land and house properties, and you want to learn from other people's experience. You don't want to find yourself in that same situation, you know. So I would also encourage you, if you want to, you can join Rehome on the social media handles, get connected with us. Look at our website and come to our platform. We would respond to you promptly. We will provide you with the necessary information, and we will help to make sure that your buying home experience or renting a home experience is hassle-free. So that's what I would just say. Check everything that you have to check before you take that step to either rent or buy a property.
Awesome. You heard it right here from Mr. Danny of Rehome Africa. Thank you all for tuning in today. We appreciate your time, and we'll see you same time, same place next month. All right. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.